Historic.
Historic.
Historic. Historic.
Historic.
Every area has objects, events, and memories that its residents are very proud of. The province of Alberta is not so old, but today a mayor, a businessman, farmers, policemen, and museum employees share what is historic for them. The development of a town has many interesting aspects. Discover the historic and environmental elements from the mayor of Canmore.
My name is Ron Casey, and I'm the mayor of Canmore, Alberta. And Canmore is a community of approximately 10,000 people, located 100 kilometers west of Calgary, just on the edge of the Rocky Mountains. As you can see from outside today, we're just into the Rocky Mountains here. And we're located about 20 kilometers from Banff, east from Banff, so just outside of Banff National Park, which is the largest national park in Canada. Canmore is quite a historic place. We've been located here for just over a century, and of course historic in Alberta terms, not necessarily in German terms, because of course you are a much older country, but the province of Alberta is very new. And so we've been here for about 100 years. Initially, Canmore was located here because of our coal mining. There are large coal deposits on the mountain slopes around us, and so initially for the railroad, the coal was needed to supply the trains moving back and forth through the mountains. But as time went on, the need for our coal diminished, and so in 1979, on July the 13th, our mine closed. So that left Canmore in a bit of a spot, because always being a mining town, the people were worried, well, what will we do in the future? What can we do to sustain ourselves? And so, being so close to Banff National Park and to the ski areas in Banff, we turned to tourism naturally. The Canmore Nordic Centre was built in 1988 to accommodate the Olympic Games. And that really put Canmore on the map. For the first time, people around the world saw the beauty of Canmore. They became aware of our location and how easy it was to get here. And so really from 1988 on, our popularity around the world and also our presence around the world has become more accessible to a lot of people. And so shortly after 1988, we had two major developers come into the Bow Valley. One is called Three Sisters Resorts, and they have a very large development that's taking place on the south side of the Bow Valley. And we have another large developer on the other side of the valley called Silvertip Resources. And both of these areas are developing as a golf destination point. And so we have a new golf course that opened last year on Silvertip, and we have another golf course opening this year on Three Sisters Resorts. As development has occurred in Canmore, it has come at an alarming rate. We've been growing anywhere from 7% to 12% per year. And so in municipal terms, that's extremely high. In a municipality, if you had 3% growth, that would be incredible growth. So 7 or 12% growth is amazing growth. But one of the things that we've done all the time that we've been growing is we've always put the environment out in front of us. We were always lucky to be surrounded by the natural environment, but that also included herds of elk, grizzly bears, black bears, wolves, deer, cougars. So there was an abundance of wildlife around us. And so it was very clear right from the beginning that if we were to develop as a destination resort, or if we were going to develop for tourism, we wanted to be able to maintain that wildlife. We didn't want the development within the town of Canmore to destroy what we have always enjoyed about the area. So one thing that we've done particularly in Canmore is build wildlife corridors into all our developments. And so there are setbacks from these environmentally sensitive areas, and we've made sure that there's enough green space that the animals can move through the town and around the town, hopefully without being too greatly disturbed. And so that is certainly something unique with Canmore and the way we have developed. So that left Canmore in a bit of a spot.
If you're in a spot, you're in some difficult position or have some kind of trouble.
And that really put Canmore on the map.
If something is on the map, it's big enough to be famous so that other people recognize it. Even relatively young companies can produce items of historic importance. Find out how T-shirts and other articles can reflect the past from the owner of a printing business.
My name is Brooke Carter. I'm in Calgary, Alberta, here in Canada, and I run a company called Wheat Buckley and His Talking Horse Screenworks. And this is a company that my wife and I have been working in for the last almost 30 years. We started this company in 1970 in a very small space, about 1,200 square feet, and just the two of us. Well, the Olympics came along, and we sold 35,000 T-shirts in about 10 days. It was an extremely good thing for our company, and as a result, we were able to buy more machinery. Well, now, 1999, we have 30 employees, and our space is about 12, 15 times bigger. So when our customers come in, or if one of our salespeople has come in with an order, the order gets written up, and then it goes to the art department. In the art department, we use mostly computers to produce the artwork now. When the designs have been prepared, they're made into a form called positives so that we can make the screens to print the shirts with. Well, the positives are all sent to our screen department. In the screen department, we have hundreds and hundreds of screens that we have to reuse every day. And they're prepared by one of the gentlemen in the back, Bill, who's in charge of the screen department. He makes the screens so that the guys that are running the printing presses can set them up, put the ink on them, and start printing the shirts. Sometimes people only want 12 shirts, 24 shirts. Well, on a job like that, there's no point in us using the big automatic presses, and we use the small manual presses. Or if we're doing complicated work, something like printing on sports bags or golf bags or strange things like bathing suits, we do those with the manual so that the people printing can be very careful and do a good job on them. We also have 3 automatic presses. One of them will print up to 6 colors. One will print up to 10 colors. And the other one, which we put in when we expanded the building, will print up to 14 colors. And it's one of the biggest T-shirt presses made. And it was quite expensive, I have to add. But it was very helpful for us because we have several customers that want very good artwork. One of our customers is a company called Canadian Pacific. And they have a whole bunch of hotels all across Canada, which are all very historic sites. And we have done T-shirts from the old posters that were made up many years ago. So this historic line of T-shirts sells very well across the whole country for us. The only way that we could do that was to have a press that was large enough to print as many colors as we needed to do these really nice designs. But it's a good business, and it's a very complicated business, and it takes lots of training for us to get the people to be able to produce the quality of work that we like to do. The process is very simple. It in itself is a very historic process that was first invented by the Chinese many thousands of years ago. And although the equipment has changed and the inks have changed and the material we use to make the screens has changed, the process is still the same. We use a simple mesh that is like a screen. It used to be made out of silk. That is why the process was called silk screening. Now it's made out of polyester. It's much stronger. But the process is exactly the same. We cover it with an emulsion, and we put the ink through the holes in the screen directly onto the t-shirt. After the t-shirt has been printed, it goes through a dryer, which cures the ink, and it takes about 30 seconds. So after the t-shirt has been printed, 30 seconds later, you can wear it. But in fact, we stick it into boxes and pack them all up, and they get shipped all over the place, all over Canada. We are now working also for companies that are shipping into the United States. So we have lots of shirts. We cover it with an emulsion, and we put the ink through the holes in the screen.
Emulsion is a paint that has no glossy surface.
It goes through a dryer, which cures the ink.
To cure not only means to make someone healthy, but it also is a treatment to preserve something like ink.
And we're hoping that we can carry on and make the company larger and just keep printing.
Agriculture is of historic importance to the province of Alberta. Listen to a farm owner and a farm manager as they explain how they have worked in the past and planning for the future.
My name is Robert Ollerenshaw. Beside me is my farm manager, Earl Minnie. Our family actually homesteaded in this country. My grandfather originally came from Macclesfield in England in 1913. He became over actually as a farrier and started working with Percheron horses in this area as well. He homesteaded here in 1913, as I mentioned earlier, on a farm not very far away from where we are at this point. We're actually just located southeast of Calgary. My father took over the farming operations at that time, and also we purchased this particular farm in 1953. I was born and raised here and grew up on the farm. Earl became our farm manager in 1975 and has been with us for almost 25 years, actually. And we're very happy that to have someone whose caliber to be here.
I manage the workload here, actually, in the farm, and with the help, other extra help. We start at 7 in the morning, and if it's cattle work, we work with the cattle, and that's from fall till spring is mainly cattle work. Except grain hauling, which we do deliver to elevators. And summertime, spring I should say, is the seeding, as we are into it right now. Mm-hmm. It's the land work, preparation of the land, fertilizer application, and seeding. Mm-hmm. And then crop spraying after it's up. Summertime is into haying. And then harvest starts end of August, 1st September, into the grain harvest, which we hope to get done in 1 month probably, but it depends on our weather. And the cattle are what we call a commercial beef herd with the brood cows, and we calve out in about the 1st of March, which the calves stay on the cows all summer in the pastures, and we wean the calves in the fall, usually in October, 1st November. The grain farming is actually the biggest part of the farm here. Mm-hmm. We crop, I guess, about 3,500 acres, and we're cutting maybe back a little now, but it was 3,000 to 3,500 acres are seeded to crops. Mm-hmm. And mainly harvested for sale of the grain. Some is fed on the farm, but mainly for sale, grain sales.
How do you see things moving on in the future for the farm?
Well, we sometimes will discuss maybe new technology or new ways of doing things, maybe ways of trying to become more efficient, maybe more cost effective. such as there's a new process called no tillage and things like this, and we may discuss that, ways of reducing our overhead costs to become leaner and meaner, as you call it, and become, more efficient that way.
Earl, where do you see farming in Canada going in the future?
It doesn't look good right now. The grain prices aren't good, but you got to stay in it. When you're in it, you can't just in and out. The grain prices are slipping lately, and inputs are going up. It's definitely a very small margin right now.
Is that based on something that's happening in Canada, or is that a worldwide development, do you think?
Seems worldwide, doesn't it? In the States, it seems to be about their costs of production and the.
In terms of the North American market, it's fairly consistent. Especially in the last year, the prognosis has not been very good, or the outlook has not been very good for the future, especially for grain farming. Cattle prices have somewhat stabilized, though. But all in all, we keep going. Our family actually homesteaded in this country.
Homesteading refers to a historical period in North America where the government gave land to farmers to produce crops.
We work with the cattle, and that's from fall till spring is mainly cattle work.
In American English, we say fall when the British people say autumn.
Preparation of the land, fertilizer application.
Fertilizer is any substance put on land to help things grow.
Be crop spraying after it's up.
Crops are all of the different products that are grown in fields such as wheat and corn to use as food. Traditional organizations such as the Mounties have helped Canada become a safe country. Find out about historic and modern features of this police force.
My name is Manon McSween Seguin, and I'm a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I'm a police officer with the RCMP, and I've been doing that for about 12 years now.
I've been with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for the past 17 years. And during those years, from the beginning of as a recruit until now, I've worked in a variety of sections or units. And I'm currently in the Forensic Identification Services. My task here is mainly to examine crime scenes and recover physical evidence and or fingerprints. Before that, I was attached to a training academy where I instructed newly engaged RCMP cadets on a variety of subjects.
Which is where we met. We were both instructors at the academy, and we met there. And we're married, and we're transferred here sometime later. We got there basically at the beginning of a big change in the RCMP. I think that we went from the old way, when you went through training, and,
Thank you.
and basically to where we're at now.
The spoon feeding to the adult education model that is being used today, where our cadets are not only given instruction on various topics, whether it be law or powers of arrest, judicial system and what have you, but they're given problems and have to find solution to those problems. The feedback we get from our clients, the detachment across Canada, is that the cadets they're getting are much more mature, and compared to when I went through, the performance of a cadet is equivalent to a 3-year constable. So we're getting our money's worth out of our cadets because they're better trained, they're more adaptable to various situations, and they quickly learn the process. Our training is all centralized in one location. So the basic training that is received by the cadet is the same across Canada.
It's very important. I think that if you keep it in one central location, that's the thing that's the most important, is to get them basically learning how everything is done throughout. Doesn't matter what province they go to. We do everything pretty much the same, and there's a more historical portion to the training, where they learn the tradition, how the RCMP came about. It used to be the Northwest Mounted Police, and basically they have to be part of that tradition, and they have to understand where we evolved from, and how, to understand how things work today and why they work today.
The spoon feeding to the adult.
Spoon feeding comes from feeding a baby with a spoon. That means giving a lot of help.
We tried to have a common agreement with the RCMP to say, you can have one of us, and the other one will stay behind, so we can look after our house and everything else.
Looking after the family at home.
That's very good, isn't it?
That's very, very good. Look at the improvement there.
Yep.
I did tell her to get 70%, and she came up with 80%. Obviously, she paid attention.
That's excellent. Well, things are starting to come along after the move, eh?
Yep. Yeah, it's finally back on track there. She was down to.
Things were pretty low in the first ones, eh?
She started at 20, and no difference in the program.
This may be a good time to.
Oh, good. Good.
I think maybe this would be a good weekend to take you out to the movies. Since you got such a good grade?
Maybe.
Maybe?
I'm sure you wouldn't like to go and see a show, eh?
Mm-hmm. How about Star Wars? Yeah, you like that, eh? I figure. Is that the one you were doing last night?
Nope.
That's something like that.
That's the test.
That's the one you did it.
That's the test?
Excellent. Now those are the grades we're used to seeing you having. Yeah.
Just got a little off track. There we go.
I think maybe this would be a good weekend to take you out to the movies.
In North America, people go to the movies. In Great Britain, people go to the cinema.
Now those are the grades we're used to seeing you having. Yeah.
In North American schools, people receive grades, or the marks for how well they've done in a course. Alberta has one extremely historic point of interest: dinosaurs. The director and a technician of one of the world's best museums for dinosaurs explain how these creatures lived in Alberta.
My name is Dr. Bruce Naylor. I'm the director of the Royal Tyrrell Museum of Paleontology, and we're situated here in the heart of Alberta's historic Badlands. Our museum is all about fossils. We find fossils in Badlands. One of the unique aspects of what we do is we can go out our back door and find dinosaurs, fossil mammals, fossil birds, any of the great diversity of extinct animals that used to inhabit our province. Recently, we discovered a complete skeleton of a juvenile Albertosaurus, which is a flesh-eating dinosaur named, obviously, for our province. And this specimen was magnificent because it's complete from the tip of the nose right down to the very end of the tail. The museum obtained its royal designation when Queen Elizabeth II visited our province some years ago, and it was a great honor to receive this designation. In addition to doing fieldwork, scientific research, we are also a public museum. We host upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. We run public programs. We encourage visitors to participate in field digs and explorations. And we basically present to the public of the province and the world what Alberta's fossil history is about. any of the great diversity of extinct animals that used to inhabit our province.
Extinct means that no more of these animals are alive.
A complete skeleton of a juvenile Albertosaurus.
Juvenile is the official word for a teenager, a young person or a young animal.
We host upwards of 400,000 visitors annually.
Upwards of is another way to say more than 400,000 visitors.
Jim, this specimen, we're really excited about it, and we're really hoping to get it out on display. Where are you sitting with it now?
I've been working on the backbone here, Bruce. As you can see, the bone is quite soft here, so I've had to use a lot of plaster in places like this. But when we get down to the ribs here, the preservation is quite a bit better. The separation here is really good as well. When you get up onto a limb bone like this, the separation is just beautiful. There's no problem here at all, and the separation is good, the preservation is really nice, and it's going along quite well. We did find the piece here at the base of the neck that was missing.
Right.
So we can now get the skull and the whole neck attached with no problem. The paddle block here that was worked on is also going to fit really well now.
Excellent.
So we've got that all sorted out. So everything at this end should go together quite nicely. This paddle here, it turns out, is complete from one end to the other. I don't know about this paddle under here. It's we've got 3 pieces of it right here, and hopefully down in here we might find the rest of the paddle that these pieces came from. The tail is complete right to the tip. As you can see, the hip section is really well articulated. The ilium here is just beautiful, the way the socket is there for the femur. And the tips of the gastralia are just beautiful. The whole specimen is slightly crushed, but the backbone doesn't seem to be crushed at all. So overall, there's not much crushing. Just the rib cage has been flattened a little bit.
So how much longer is it going to take you to finish it?
About another 5 or 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
And then it'll be ready for display.